Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel Chala-Tech. Today we'll be talking about DTP, that is Dynamic Trunking Protocol, and we'll get to know what Dynamic Trunking Protocol is and how we can configure it in our project here using packet tracer, Cisco packet tracer. Yes. So first we get to know what DTP is, why it needs to be, or why we configure it in a switch, and how it works. So DTP, Dynamic Trunking Protocol, is a Cisco proprietary protocol used on switches to automatically negotiate whether links two switches becomes a trunk link or remains an access link. So it's a way that these two switch here communicate with themselves to know whether if it's going to be a trunk link or it's going to remain an access link. Trunk link means it's going to be carrying multiple VLANs from a particular switch to another switch. Most times it is not advisable to configure DTP on your switch. It's not advisable because it means that any switch plugged in start negotiating automatically, which becomes vulnerable to attackers and hackers out there, keeping your network at risk of being flawed or being broken into by people with bad intentions. So without wasting much time, we'll be doing the practical aspect of configuring a DTP on the three switches, and you will see how it's done. It's very simple, guys. It's very simple, and we all know DTP has two major modes, which is the desirable and the auto. And each port on a switch, on a Cisco switch, is on static access. It means we need to configure it so that it becomes a trunk and we can change it, and all of them are always on auto mode, ready to negotiate. So without wasting time, let's dive in straight into it. So we're going to start with this. Let's open our first switch. Open here. Click enable. So first of all, we need to know our interface. So we have FA0/1 being connected to FA0/1 of the next switch here. So first of all, let's see before we configure the switches. So first here, so we say show interface FA0/1 space switch port and click enter. So now if you see here, these are the information on the switch port status of this particular interface. So first of all, as we all said from the beginning, they always operate on a static access mode, and the administrative mode here, it's always on auto. Literally all Cisco switch comes on dynamic auto by default. So yes, so let's check the next switch, which is this. Come here and click enable. So here we are doing show interface FA0/1 switch port and click enter. So here the same thing, static access, and is on auto, dynamic auto mode. Go to the next switch, so we know that we are coming in, you know what we are doing next, and show FA0/1. Okay, switch ports. All right, so as we all can see here, it's on dynamic auto by mode, and by default is always on static access. So here now we're going to start with our first switch here and see if we can configure DTP on it and see what happens on the other switches. So here we'll go config T, interface range. Yeah, so we get some here, interface range FA0/1 down to 2, because we have two interfaces, F0/1 and F0/2. Click enter. So here, so where we are, this is where we do the major work. So we have switch port mode. Instead of putting trunk, we query so that we'll see the possible options. So we query. So you see here access, so for access mode. Now if it's trunk, here we have access mode, which does not carry VLAN, and if it's trunk, it means it's being manually configured for the both interface to allow passage of VLAN, multiple VLANs on each port so that they can exchange. Here we have it dynamic. This is a negotiation access. The negotiation access between two switches. So here, configuring dynamic trunking protocol, we pick the dynamic. We also query. So you can see here we have two major modes, which is the auto and the desirable. To set on the auto, you set trunking mode dynamic negotiation parameter to auto, or you set it to desirable. So however, if a particular interface is desirable, you can make the other interface auto or desirable so that they will automatically trunk or communicate or negotiate on trunking. So here I'll be taking desirable. So I click enter and do right. So here, this is it. Do show interface FA0/1 switch port. Click enter and see. So you see here, so it have changed from static access. As you can see from the button, yes, it was communicating. So it has changed from static access now to trunk. And look at our administrative mode. It's no longer dynamic auto. As I said earlier, dynamic auto. It's no longer dynamic auto. So let's see on the other switches. Before we configure it, we do the same thing. We click enter. Exactly. So you see now they are both now on operational mode. They are both trunk. They've negotiated and they've chosen to be a trunk link. You see here. Let's go to the next one. Let's see the next switch. Click enter. Do same thing. Exactly. So it's no longer on static access. It's both switch have negotiated and they are now on trunk mode. So let's assume a hacker wants to infiltrate it. Let's bring out a switch here now. Let's bring out a switch and connect to this. Why it's coming up? So we open here. So here we do show interface H1 port mode and we click enter, and you see here on those interfaces it's on static access. So if we configure the connected port here to be desirable, this switch here, without telling this switch to pass VLAN, to automatically pass it. So let's do it here. Again, 150. interface. Port mode, dynamic design, right? So let's check, see if there's any wide number. Okay. So we check again. Exactly. So you see now they are both strong. They can automatically pass in VLAN on their own. So that is why most cases it has its own vulnerability and it's only used on Cisco switches. However, you can decide to disable DTP because of its vulnerability using trunking configuration, because that's the best. So if you want to disable DTP, go to all the interfaces. Switch ports, no negotiation. We have now. Let's check again. Port show FA0/1. Okay, so we can disable it. Yes, so we need to disable trunking, dynamic trunking. So we need to configure trunking manually. So just come interface range FA0/1 to 3, switch port mode, trunk, and we do no switch ports, no negotiation, and do right. And so therefore we've disbanded dynamic trunking protocol on these switches. That is where we come to an end. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for us to keep up the good work. Thank you so much.